April 27, 2026. This is the S&P 500 E-Futures Mini on the 2000 tick chart using NinjaTrader 8. This is what the chart looked like today. There was no economic data that came out to really move the market. There is economic data coming out Wednesday at around 11 o'clock Pacific Standard and around 11:30 of the same day. That's the FOMC rate decision. And I think most people or most analysts are estimating that nothing's going to happen. They're not going to change the rate. So even then, the Monday and Tuesday, Monday being today, is going to be very slow. And that was no exception because today was definitely very slow. I anticipate tomorrow to be, might not look like this, but I anticipate it's going to be a very slow day. Because if you look at the time, it's like 9 o'clock all the way over here to the close, which is 1 o'clock Pacific Standard. So that's 4 hours of trading. And then from 9 o'clock to when it opened around 6:30, that's the other three, not even three, 2.5 hours of trading. So 4 hours of trading over here, and then 2.5 hours of trading over here. There were very few setups. I did take one trade, and then there was another maybe trade I identified, a possible trade, and then there was a couple of almost trades, but I didn't like them because probably the signal bar wasn't right or the context didn't look clean enough for me to trust it. But I did mark them because I did think about them at the time. And then there's these arrows that I have for myself, just notes, because I probably felt impulsive at those times, but I'm glad I didn't take those trades or just jumped on those impulses. So I'm going to go into the setups right now. There's a very slow, very well, not even meandering, it's just pretty much sideways. If you look at the entire day, it pretty much moved in regular trading hours, it pretty much moved from about 71.82 to about 72.10. So there's only about 30 points, but even though you think 30 points, there's movement, there's actually less than that because it stayed and it just kind of really chopped and kind of took a really long time for candles to close. So the pre-market looks like it's one leg break, a second leg, but also looks like it's just one big leg up, break, moves down, pushes back up, looks like it was two legs up, then another leg down, kind of a sideways sell-off here. This bold blue line was my initial range that I was trading, and then later I expanded it out to this more bigger, lighter blue channel or range. So it's just chopping sideways. It opens, it pushes up on this green up channel, break, test the high by one attempt, and then this is the second attempt. I call this an almost trade right here because there wasn't enough information, and this is only the first 5 minutes of trading for me to trust this setup, even though it's like a first entry long, second entry long. Maybe this is a key entry point, but you're going to find out, or I found out throughout the day, that the EMA wasn't super reliable as a support resistance. So that kind of takes away one avenue of using it as a key entry point. So then you just have to trust pretty much range rules or the trend lines you could find. So it pushes up, hits a high, and also hits this initially what I thought was the top of the range. So ignore this light blue one for now. And I was just trading this dark blue one and the dark blue one down here. And I thought this is the range I was trading in. So it creates a new high. It is a one touch and really only two touches. I don't really count this as a third touch. It starts moving down. You have a first entry long pullback. Technically, you have a second entry long, but this I also thought is a fail breakout. So in order for me to trust this, it also looked like it's just one leg down. In order for me to trust this, I wanted a cleaner one leg for the second leg. Because if you counted this as a first entry, second entry, it's pretty tiny, but it just came from a really big drop. And I call this a fail breakout. So I was looking for a higher low. Also, I turned it into this orange down channel. So I'm going to be a little bit more careful taking the first, second entry without a good confirmation. So I'm looking, you do get a higher low here, but it also looks like it's a break of this. So I'm expecting a break on the other side here. And then when this forms, I do see that it was a potential first entry short, second entry short, but second entry short going in the same direction of the original trend. After it just came from a breakout, I'm a little cautious. In order for me to trust downward movement is going to continue, I need a lower high. So I call it an almost trade. Plus the follow through isn't very nice because if you took a trade here, I would be very nervous about what's going to happen after this candle. In this case, it does work. So you do have a new low, first entry short, second entry short. You don't really get a lower high. This is technically a lower high, but you're already right here into the lows. So when I saw this, I'm thinking, is this failed breakout actually valid? And it starts moving back in. So that's when I turned this support. I'm going to make it a little bit lighter. Dragged it down to here. So the range I'm playing now is actually low right here and then the high up here. I didn't drag it up to this side. Yes, so see if I can I can't really bring it down. So this was the top of the range, and then the bottom of the range, I'll just go ahead and move it down. So I thought maybe this is actually the bottom of the range. And so the range I'm playing is pretty much locked in between these two big blue lines. So it reverses back up. It gives you a triple test here, but there's no setup. So I'm thinking, okay, this is the clean top of the range. There's a fail breakout here, you could argue, but it was just very small. So I'm thinking most of the price action is going to stay between these two bold lines. Creates a localized low. It's a first entry short pullback, second entry short. You have a lower high here, but the lower high, I wasn't that convinced on it because I'd be selling. Technically, EMA doesn't really matter, but I would be selling right into the lows of this potential range. And I was inclined to believe prices could reverse back up. I want to see pretty much a first entry long, second entry long failure, then I would trust it more. It bounces and it starts moving sideways. So now I'm thinking, okay, I'm in this smaller sub purple trading range inside this larger blue range. No trade here. It finally breaks out. Looks like it's one leg down. So here it actually sets up for my one and only trade. So I'm thinking, okay, prices had a triple test here and then a quadruple test here. They're failing to break through here. My thought is it's actually moving all the way back down to here now. There's a higher chance it's going to move down to here. This support of this purple trading range isn't holding anymore because it already had a violation here. I did have it briefly extended down to here, but even if that was the case, it failed here. It's a failed breakout pullback. So when I saw this as a localized high, I said it's a first entry long pullback, second entry long closes outside this purple range. So in real time, I was thinking, okay, this looks like a potential failed breakout pullback. I also have a new low, first entry short, pullback, potential second entry short that's yet to be confirmed. But as I said, this looks like it was one leg, one push up. This could have been the second attempt up, and I was thinking prices are more likely to push down through to create a second part of this orange leg. So I actually got my order ready, and I waited, and I actually entered a little early. It filled me, and it pulled back a little bit. Then on the next candle, it flushes down and gives me my 6 ticks. I wasn't going to try to runner because I was concerned that prices could have trouble breaking through this double bottom. So although I thought prices were going to move to the bottom, I just said, you know what? It's the trading today could be slow because of FOMC. So I'm not going to really try for runner, just take the whole position off. Then it pushes down. If you did try for a runner, most likely my runner would have gotten stopped by probably this guy because this is the 6 ticks that I was going for. And then I would have moved my runner one tick below my entry. And so likely this candle would have stopped me out. If not, one of these guys would have. So then prices continue moving. I'm looking for it to touch the bottom and then it starts reversing back pretty aggressively. Comes back, it hits here and comes back down. At this point, I wasn't sure that this is actually the top of the range because I had another line then. And I said, actually, it looks like it's touching pretty well here with no small little tick excursions. So that's where I ended up dragging this up to here. So I thought, okay, this is the actual range that I should be playing. So it pushes down. You have a second entry long here, but it's terrible. It's hitting the high, and now it's expecting prices to come back down. You do have a second entry short here. This was transparent and stays transparent because I do have a trend line coming down. There's a third touch rejection right here. So it's one touch, two touch, three touch. Now, before the break here, I did think this could be a potential channel, but right now it's a really large channel with respect to the overall price action. So I didn't really trust it, so I never colored it in. But I saw this in real time. I like that it was engulfing, but I just wanted extra confirmation. So I was looking for a lower high to confirm this possible second entry short, but it turns out to just be an almost trade. By the time it pushes all the way down to here, I'm not looking for the lower high anymore. It feels like it went too far. And now I'm watching for a reaction on this low side. So it looks like it almost touches bounces. It finally does hit it and then it breaks through. So I'm watching. This channel is starting to look a little bit more possible, but since it's coming down here and it kind of hits here and reverses back up, this channel doesn't seem to be all that important now, because in my opinion, it hit the bottom of the range. Yes, it could break this yellow down channel, test the low, but I was basing my thoughts on the strength of this range is going to be more important than prices trying to come back down, test the low of this yellow. So I'm thinking this range is going to have more effect than prices coming back down. So I was thinking prices are going to move all the way back up here, potentially test the high side, and then create a corresponding fail breakout on the high side. So prices move up. Technically, you have a first entry short, you have a second entry short. Second entry short technically has failed here, but it's not the cleanest. You do have a first entry long, second entry long, but this feels a little congested. I'm looking for a higher low. And then you do get a higher low here, but now it's a little far from everything. The break of this green up channel has tested the high with 2 attempts. So I'm reluctant to mark or take a trade off this higher low because it looks like it did have trouble here. It's a nice signal bar, but I'm not too sure about this now. And then seeing this follow through whenever broke above its inside, definitely that very much put any thought of trying to take a long here to rest. But that doesn't mean I was going to try to take a short either. Just told me that I need to just sit back and wait. It just gets choppy in here. It might be in a range here. Starts moving up. That's where I established this. Let me go ahead and turn this back to transparent. That's where I thought maybe I'm moving up this yellow up channel because it fits really nicely on the low side. The high side is a little debatable because I was wondering, is it actually tighter here? So it actually touches better and it touches better here. So initially I was playing something like this, pushes down. I marked this because I was tempted, but I wasn't tempted enough to get an order ready because it looks like a first entry long pullback, second entry long engulfing this bad signal bar, but there's not that much room to the high. But if you believe the strength of this range, then maybe if you're more aggressive, you could try to enter here for a ride back up to the high side of this range. But I wasn't too sure, so I left it alone. Like almost hits the high side, comes back down. You have a new high, first entry long pullback, second entry long. This, I kind of went back and forth thinking, was this an almost trade or even a possible trade? So I think at the break of this yellow up channel and wants to test the high. So it is a decent signal bar. It is engulfing. But when I saw this, and it also looks like it might be moving down this orange down channel as one leg instead of first entry, second entry, which technically it is, looks like it's just one leg. So I was actually looking for a higher low. Ideally, it would have shown up right about here. But after this big signal bar, not signal bar, after this big green bar, and then the subsequent bar that actually touches the high, now I'm thinking there's no trade here. Don't be aggressive with this setup. Plus, this one technically has tested the high of this yellow up channel. Starts bouncing around, creates a new localized high here. Just have first entry long, and it starts flushing up. So I'm thinking this yellow up channel has broken, tested the high 3 times now, and it's continuing to go up. So then I drew this channel, which is transparent because I didn't fully trust it. Even now, I never colored it in because I don't fully trust it. I thought, okay, there's 1 touch, 2 touch. Technically, you have a 3rd touch, but it feels a little bit not as strong. I need more price action to confirm this channel because this yellow one looks more firm because it actually has these good touches on the low side, decent touches on the high side. But now that it's played out, I'm not ready to just adopt this up channel yet. So it pushes up. You don't really get any clean second entries. You have a first entry long here. Technically, you have a second entry long here, but seeing this in real time, I'm not ready to take a trade. Then the follow through wasn't very strong. Just feels a little side by side right now. You could argue maybe it's bouncing off this red up channel and the EMA, but just looking to the left, this just looks like it could be in its own little range here. So it's hard for me to argue for another continued push up because it could chop sideways for a little longer. Then it does pretty much chop sideways with a bullish bias and just kind of floats upwards. Keep in mind, these candles are now taking a couple minutes at the least to close. So I don't really want to be trading in this really indecisive, slow closing candles, especially lately where the turbulence in the Middle East has caused like something will be announced by our administration or just news will come out, which could cause like these big candles to flush down. That kind of happened, I think, on Friday. There was some pretty big candle moves in a very short amount of time because I remember reviewing the charts. Although I didn't trade, I did look at it after the fact. Like there was this, I think, something like right about here. This moved in a span of about 1 minute, roughly, and it went up several candles. So I don't want to be sitting in a candle here, waiting for my trade to either close or get stopped out. And some kind of crazy news is going to flash it either way. So it just kind of made me extra cautious. But then it starts moving. It looks like it came back down. I did see a localized high here. It's like a visual first entry long pullback, second entry long triple test. To be honest, I saw this. I wasn't the most convinced. So this could actually be maybe an almost trade, maybe not so much strong as a possible trade. But I did like that it engulfed this terrible signal bar, triple test. If this red transparent up channel is in play, then you're thinking you might want to test the high after this break. But you're also thinking maybe it's in this range, but this range feels a little early because it does have triple test here. It is kind of confirming the high side here. And you could say maybe it's going to move back to the high side. So I wasn't 100% sure, but I thought maybe there's a possible trade here. If I entered here and I was going to go for 6 ticks, I'm not sure I would have gotten it because it would have come back down here and then this candle would have stopped me out. So this one, I'm not 100% sure whether is a almost trade or a possible trade, but I marked it as a possible trade. Then it kind of continues moving sideways, hits the high side, fail breakout, pushes down. Looks like it was one leg up, pullback, second leg. But then right about here, it's already in the last 30 minutes, so I'm not really looking for a trade or setup. And even in the last minute or last 10 minutes, typically what I've noticed is unusual trading days, and I would say today is a little bit slower, so not the usual trading day. Last 10 minutes, you get a lot more volatility of people readjusting their positions, but it was also just a very slow, quiet move into the close. If you look at the timestamp from here and you look at the range, it only really moved six points, really quietly crawled into the close. So I think I was lucky. I was able to get one trade out today. Tomorrow, I anticipate will be another slow day. I don't know if it's going to look like this unless some kind of weird news comes out overnight. I just probably anticipate maybe even tomorrow will be like a no trade day because if it's just this slow and this choppy and candles taking forever to close, I'll try to remind myself to be extra cautious and not reach for anything or stare too long because I have a tendency to just invent setups or think a poor setup ends up being a good setup and then I take it and it actually is a poor setup. So hopefully that was helpful.